Let's review Dashcam from director Rob Savage and from Blumhouse. Let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie? Hey, man.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing now.
Oh, blood on the beat!
God, don't do that.
But sometimes dead is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're talking a little bit about Dashcam, the latest feature from director Rob Savage, who is known for Host from 2020, which you might have saw on Shudder. I'm very excited to get into this, but first I'm gonna need y'all to like this video and subscribe for more horror content and more horror reviews on a bunch of whack stuff like this. So getting into my review of this, I'm real quickly gonna do a non-spoiler review just for like a minute here, and then like in a minute going forward, I'll start talking about spoilers. So if you want to kind of like get a feel for what this movie is, I'm gonna kind of tell you that here, then I'll get into some spoiler talk. So basically, non-spoiler review of this. This is not a movie for everybody. Certainly not a movie for everybody. Unlike Host, which was, yes, a little politically charged, but not as much as this film. The movie's message is so in your face at times, it kind of gets to the point where you almost want to turn it off. And that's completely understandable. It's kind of hard to watch the first 30 minutes of this. It starts to chill out after that. Like if you can make it through the first 30 minutes of this film, you will be rewarded by what is the third act, which is essentially a really good found footage horror flick. But wow, let me tell you, this film could have been way shorter. Like, this movie needed to be 60 minutes and no longer than that. It feels so much longer than that and is such a step down from Host, in my opinion, which is really unfortunate because I loved Host. I loved how it wasn't too in your face with the message, but it was there, and it also had a really strong horror element. This film, yes, has that strong horror element, but not until the end, and it's not balanced nowhere near as well as Host was. And it's also kind of like the same film. Like, it's also very similar to Host in a lot of ways, and I kind of want to see what else Rob Savage has up his sleeve, because as of right now, it kind of seems like he has one trick that he can do with every single film. Let's see what else he can do, hopefully with his third feature. But getting into some spoilers, so if you have not seen this film, please do not watch any further because I will spoil it for you, and that would suck. So getting into some spoilers, the first 30 minutes of this movie is insufferable. I mean, it is tough to get through, and that was totally the point. Like, Rob Savage had a point to make with the beginning of this movie, and he was successful, but I'll tell you what, it will definitely, like, when this thing hits theaters, people will walk out. People will walk out for the first 30 minutes of this because of how fucking insane and how annoying this main character is. I mean, listen, I worked through the pandemic working at, like, Chipotle, and I dealt with this person so many times, it brought back the real life horrors of having to deal with people like this. The most interesting thing about Annie Hardy is you might assume that she's from a certain political party. You might assume that she feels a certain way about certain things, which I won't get into because this isn't the channel for that. I'm gonna be completely honest. But honestly, how I feel about the character is that I don't think she really does believe some of the things she's saying. She just likes to be abrasive for attention. And there's a lot of people like this out there that I've unfortunately come across that it's really kind of just sad and unfortunate at the end of the day. I will say for that reason, I kind of really appreciate this movie for diving so deep into a character like that. That's the one big difference I think between Host and this film is that they could so perfectly execute the portrayal of a character like this. There's a lot of real people like this, and it's really upsetting that this is how people find a way to get attention by being so abrasive, being so offensive to the point where like people have to get angry and upset with people like this. It's just horrible. I mean, it's really just hard to watch for that reason alone. The horror element's great in the third act, like I said, but this is, it's you gotta look away at some points. Like, you're just like, I can't even watch this. And I'll say, Rob definitely had a point with this film of doing that with this character, and you were very successful, but it's to the point where I almost wanted to turn it off. I literally wrote in my notes while watching this film, "This hurts" 3 different times, all in different caps. Like, it was like, "This hurts" in lowercase. Now, "This hurts" with a T in the H uppercase, and "This fucking hurts" is what I wrote next. She's kind of like the aunts at family dinners that you're just really trying to avoid conversation with. Then finally, this movie picks up with the horror element in some of the later acts, which I think is really fucking cool, and does it really well. Just like Host, that had some really well executed jump scares that get you every single time, this movie does does the same thing, and honestly does it really well. It also has this sequence with a needle that scared the fuck out of me. You have one of the characters stepping on a dirty needle at one point in like this abandoned trailer, like in the middle of nowhere, and Annie says something along the lines of, "Oh, you have AIDS now," or something like that. And it's just like, that is the last thing someone who just stepped on a needle wants to hear. Like that, the paranoia this character causes in the middle of all this, like the horror shit that they're going through, elevates it so much to new heights. And like, this is the absolute last person you'd want to experience all of this with, and I think that adds to the horror element a lot. As much as I hate her and like I absolutely never want to watch this movie again, I have to admit, she does a pretty good job at elevating the horror just because she's playing off of her own personality. For a found footage movie, this also has some really good and gory, bloody ass kills. I was very satisfied with that. If you're looking for a gory movie, the end of this film is that. One thing I will say about this film though, is it kind of just feels like a VHS skit, where usually those work because they're about 15 to 20 minutes long, and that's really all they need to be. This film did not need to be as long as it did. You could have cut it down by a lot, and why the fuck did they not kill Annie at the end of this movie? I could not tell you for the life of me. That was the biggest missed opportunity of the entire film. I was waiting the whole movie to see her die in some kind of horrible, visceral way, and they did not satisfy that for me. Instead, we cut to the credit scene where she's once again singing all of her crappy, shitty music that fucking sucks. That is not what I wanted to see over the credits, I'm gonna be honest. I wanted one last scene where you just see her get fucking eviscerated by this parasite thing, and then like, cool, that's the end of the movie. I would have been very, 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 very satisfied with that. On the other hand though, I was pretty disappointed with the ending, and just pretty disappointed with the film overall. Was it scary? Yes, but I need a little more than that in my horror film. Yes, I will probably never watch this film again, and I don't even think I would recommend it to some people, but I'm still gonna give it like a 4 out of 10. This deserves a 1 or maybe a 2. I'll be completely honest, but because of how well executed some of those kills were and some of those sequences that honestly made my skin absolutely squirm, you gotta give this movie some credit for that. And I will. I honestly, 4 out of 10 I think is pretty fair. Maybe a 5 out of 10, but man, I mean, I mean it when I say I will never watch this movie again. I will never seek this film out again. I think the ending was cool and all that, but because of how uncomfortable Annie made me feel throughout the entire runtime of this relatively short movie that feels way longer than it is, I'll never watch it again. I never will. Most I will definitely go back to multiple times because I really enjoyed the characters. They were really fun to hang out with, and some of the murders and kills and jump scares were great in that film. This movie does that very well too, but because how unlikable your main character is, who has the most screen time out of anybody else in the entire movie, I can never see myself owning this movie or going back and watching it. So 4.5 out of 10. That's my final ranking. There we go. Sure, whatever. What did you guys think about Dashcam though? Are you gonna go see it when it comes out? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this review of Dashcam from director Rob Savage. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Also, if you want to support this channel further, you can become a Patreon or a channel member supporter by clicking on that join button on my page. Thank you guys so much for watching this video again, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.